Today I'm going to teach you how to how to connect three-way switches. And when I mean three-way, this is called three-way because it has three to connect. One here, two, and three. Your ground doesn't count, but it's always important to always connect your grounds. So right here, as you see, I pigtail two for both of the switches because both require ground. This is called a pigtail right here. Right here is your power. This is power, and this is another power because both of your switches require power. Both of these are called switch legs. This is basically where the light is at, what turns them on. Right here. And there's your neutrals. As you see, in this switch, it does not require a pigtail for a neutral at all because another switches require a neutral. So you always connect them to become one. Always do that. As you see. So I always like to push my ground first in the back, so I can kind of like get it together, so I can have more space in the back. Because as if it's ground and it's pure cover by itself, it's easier to squish it down in the back, so there's extra space. But as you see, the ball keeps moving, kind of wiggly. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put a screw and screw it down sideways so it gets stuck in the on the sheetrock and lets it not move at all. Because if it moves a lot and it's sticking out too much, the cover of the plate is gonna be kind of like open in a corner or something. It's gonna be loose and it's gonna look hella ugly. And you always want to make sure your work is always professional. So remember, this is your ground, your power. This is both your powers. What is it called? Your switch legs, your neutrals right here. So, and another switch leg. So, in a way, I can explain a neutral, because maybe a lot of people don't know what a neutral is. A neutral is basically kind of like the dirty power goes back to the panel, because it kind of think of it kind of like a circle. So this gives it power, and all the extra kind of like dirty power goes back to the neutral and goes back to the to the panel. And this is your power. So what I mean by power is this is what basically is basically the one with the electricity passing through and giving the switch power. And this is your switch leg. What switch leg is basically this right here is what basically is giving the power to the switch, and this gives power to the light or whatever is powering. And but most of the time when it's a three-way switch, is because you're either gonna have another light, like one switch is gonna be able to turn on and turn off, and the other switch you're gonna be able to turn it off. And if you go down here, you press it down the switch, for example, basically, a lot of times three-ways are used like this. One switch is gonna be basically, you're gonna be able to turn it on, and you're gonna go upstairs or wherever the other switch is at, and you'll be able to turn it off with that one too. Both of them are basically connected to one. Right here, as you see, it's gonna be pushed back. Once I put the switch and everything's gonna push kind of this back. But see, I have a lot more space now. And now you see, I put a screw. This is what I meant. You see, the box does not move at all. It's nice and stable, and it gives you kind of space right here, and it kind of lines it up good, clean. So right here, what I did, see how it has a little loop? It has two loops, and that's the power. So we can identify which is the power, because a lot of times some switches, like this one right here, will require you to connect just the power in this one, and right here is gonna go the red one, and the other black one's gonna go here, and of course your ground right here. So yes, some switches are gonna require you to identify the power, and you're gonna connect it to this one. No, you cannot connect the other ones to this switch because it's not gonna work. It's not gonna be receiving power. Basically, this is kind of like the power on, and this is kind of like the ones that control it. The control, kind of like a remote, if you want to call it like that. But you see, I did it for both of them. And also, it's kind of useful because it's a hassle when you have to go down, you have to kind of like do extra work. Basically, if let's say it already, I don't know which one's the power, which one's like the switch, anything like that. I'm gonna have to turn on the power and more money. And with this, I'm out to press it and it's gonna be beeping, and that's gonna basically tell me which is the one that's power. And it's kind of just better to do kind of like full makeup. It's easier for the electrician or yourself to know, so it kind of saves you the hassle, like having to first of all turn off the power, then opening this up, and then if the makeup's bad, you're gonna have to kind of redo the makeup. And what I mean makeup is kind of do all this. It's kind of an ass to do, and you're just gonna be able to be more easier to find out, like, oh, it has a little loop. A lot of times electricians do this and they're like, oh, this is the power, and there it saves you time. It's easier and better. And when you're gonna have to strip the wire, because yes, you're gonna have to strip it to be able to either push inside one of those holes right there, or sometimes it lets you kind of like screw in on the side, or you could curve it too, but I mean, it's just easier to stick it in. And this is 14.3. So a way to strip it properly is, like, for example, I already stripped this one. See right here has like little numbers, and since it's gonna be a 14.3 on this one, you can see right here it says 14. It's probably you couldn't see, it's kind of fade out, but it's 14. So that's how you're gonna strip it. You're basically gonna go right here and pitch it with the 14 right there, and just push it down, and that strips the wires. So this is a stripper. It's something to strip wire with. It has different numbers and different holes, and each hole is a different size. And remember, the bigger the number, the smaller the hole, and the smaller the number of the wire, the bigger the wire is gonna be. So this is what I meant. You see right here, you're gonna have to curve it like this to do this for the ground. And one way you could do, curve it, a lot of times, I just kind of use this hole right here, and I just kind of pitch it down. And you see how it grabs it in the corner? And bends it kind of like that. And that's how I do it. And then after that, right here, of course, your ground wire is always going to go to your green screw. That's ground. That's basically grounding the switch. And what I do sometimes when I curve it, once I hook it up to the side, I kind of just pitch it down like this and push it down so it could be like that. Let me see if you guys can see. Sorry for the blurriness. And you see right here. So, and a three-way switch, because this is the 14.3, you're going to put your red wire, your first one, and how you know where to put which hole. Right here, you can see the power is going to go to the black one, right? So whichever hole is closer to kind of like where the screw is, that's where you have to put it in, and that's going to be the right hole. See the other one, and now I got to screw it in, because yes, you have to screw it in. And I always like to hand tie them because it makes it easier. And sometimes when you do it with the drill, or kind of like drill it in, it doesn't fully tighten it. Sorry guys, it's kind of hard to kind of like screw it in. So then you just screw in, I'll be right back. See, it's already screwed down. But this is what I mean when like what I say is like, when you have a drill and you kind of like screw it in. Give me a second, guys. See, you could do it with the drill and everything, but it doesn't fully tie in it. Let me see. If I could do it, because it's kind of hard. I always like to do with the screw, because you can really feel it and you could tighten it more. Because with the drill, it just kind of tightens it, but it doesn't fully tighten. And you want to make sure your wires are really tightened, because you really can't see it, but a wire, when it's getting power, it's vibrating. And you can really hardly see it. But over time, when it's not screwed in right, it's shaking because you're receiving constant power. And over time, if it has like a little chip on the wire, it could break, and you're not gonna be able to, your switcher or whatever is not gonna work. Here, I did it with the drill. See, I usually hand tie these two when you're drilling inside the holes, because when you do it with the drill, sometimes it leaves a little gap. And you don't want to kind of like keep going with the drill, because sometimes it could kind of like fuck up the kind of like the screws, and it can mess it up, and that sucks. You're gonna have to replace the screw and just more double work. So it's easier just to kind of like go like this with it and just kind of twist it until it becomes flush. Perfect. So right here, as you see, I already put it on the plate, and the plate usually comes with a bag. I throw it on the floor. I'm gonna pick it up though. And I kind of like to put it on already and kind of like put the screws, all of them together, but not fully screwed in. I'm gonna put my level right now. I'm gonna put it like this and see if it's straight. Now she's that right now. See, it's straight. And I'm gonna pull the screws, and I'm gonna do it with this tool right here. It's one of my favorite tools actually, because it makes my job easier, and it's insulated too, so you won't get shocked or zapped. And I go right here, and it's easier to spin. See how easy it spins? Once done, and yes, make sure these screws are pointed up, because it makes it better. And it's already leveled already, so I just want to show you now it's already done. You do a 2-game switch, a 2-game box, and you're done.